Hello, Senior Stoner fans. This is the real Senior Stoner back at you for your dual dab of the day. Today is Saturday. As we get into the weekend, unfortunately, I've had to do certain things to take care of my pain. And all of you do too. So, what I wanted to do today is talk about a topic that we like to hide, that we don't like to talk about. But I'm going to put it out there for all of us so we understand it and maybe we get a better perspective on it. So, let's go. It's how do opiates interrelate with marijuana? And I'm going to talk about opiates and what they do and what you need them for. And I'm not a doctor, personal experience. And I'm going to talk about how weed can be used to lessen the opiates and maybe what weed can do to help you through periods where you don't have them for reasons of the doctor or the healthcare not providing them to you, and will make it less urgent for you to have to run out and get them if you don't have them. This is something I've had issues with. I know lots of people do. So I want to try to help you see how they interrelate. How does opiate pain relief interrelate with medical marijuana and marijuana relief? Let's go. Well, unfortunately, I've had to use all of the following, and we're going to talk about them. Strongest first, fentanyl. Well, you know about the fentanyl scare, but what you don't know is that it's used as an incredibly strong therapeutic device. I was on fentanyl for almost a year for what I called the gunshots, which were pinched nerves up here in my neck area. And I literally had to wear 75 milligram patches, and I had a focus group, or not a focus group, a group I was involved with amputees mostly veterans. And that's the kind of pain relief it offered. Fentanyl can kill you really quick. The patch had liquid in it. You could see the little glass bubble or plastic bubble, and it would decrease as the 72 hours went on. But you know, people have fentanyl pills, people have fentanyl, they're shooting, and all these other things. Fentanyl is a horrible drug, only for the most incredible, intense pain. Even after surgery, they don't like to give it to you. But this is fentanyl. The next one is morphine. Diluted morphine. And what morphine does is morphine steps it down. This is around the clock fentanyl, 724. Morphine, you can get at time release, but it's really designed to step you down into a more physical world where you can actually start talking to people again. Because on fentanyl, you almost go crazy, changes your whole personality, and it's really just for end of life, unfortunately, is what it's called, a hospice drug. This drug is more for people who have life, and it really puts a nice wet blanket over the pain. But talk about constipation, talk about other things that happen to you physically because of opiates. This is the baby they're talking about. So you really don't want to have to use it if you don't have to. If you have to use it, you all know what you're dealing with. Then we go down to Vicodin or Percocet. Vicodin or Percocet are strong drugs to the average person, but to an opiate-tolerant person, they might be looked at as, I've seen them in the past, for me personally, as background. You hardly even feel them. And that's because I've been on opiates for 30 years, and it's just been the way my body and the doctors have handled things. So these are the mechanisms that doctors have to offer us narcotic opiate pain therapy is what it's called. We talked about scenarios where you can't get that medicine. They say, we're no longer going to prescribe this to you. It's too horrible. The doctor says it, or they say it at the healthcare, whatever. Then they say it about this. We're no longer going to prescribe this to you. Then they give you this, and you're like, oh my God, thank God I have this. It was an invisible drug before, but now it actually helps. Then they take it away. Because they say we're going to put you on a non-narcotic pain reliever, tramadol or something like that. So guess what happens? We freak out. Okay, that's the first thing that happens. And you probably freak out as soon as you know about it, even if you still have stuff left. And I was very serious about cutting medicine with a pill cutter. I've done it. Many people have to do it. It makes you filter it out instead of like that. Nobody wants to do that. I was forced to do that because of the doctors. You don't want to do that. You want to filter it out, cut the pieces down. Then what happens? You would say, Senior Stoner, so I cut the pieces out. Now I'm in horrible pain. I can't even lift my leg. Here's what we end up having to do. And I'm going to take it from the top, the strongest down. Okay? You get private label or unfortunately black market marijuana edibles. If you're in a lucky enough state that you can walk in and get edibles from a really reputable manufacturer, you do it. Otherwise, you contract and get a hold of somebody who's extremely reputable. This is a 300 milligram granola bar. That when I want it, I have it. What does 300 milligrams compare to? It's very important to get these measurements in your mind. As a matter of fact, let's take 100 milligrams of edibles. What does 100 milligrams of edibles compare to in pill? Honestly, maybe 125 milligram tramadol. Sorry to tell you. Okay? Maybe 300 milligrams equals a third of a Vicodin. Not a Vicodin ES or an HP, a 5 milligram Vicodin. So this might be 1.666 milligrams of Vicodin. Okay? Well, then you can go to Dank Nugs. Dank Nugs are 350 milligrams for the container. And what Dank Nugs are, you've seen me talk about them before on my reviews. Dank Nugs are 35 milligrams each. They look like buds, but they're really candy. These are made by a reputable manufacturer and have made their way to the East Coast. Those I bless. I bless because I know how I feel from them. I know I don't have problems intestinally from them. What's it equal to? This 350 does a little bit better than this 300. So I'd give this a half of a Vicodin. Then we go to the TKO bars. These are 315 milligrams each, but the way they're manufactured, and I don't know how they do it, what they use that's different, this would be equal to a half of a Vicodin. Very strong bar if you ate the whole bar. I don't even eat the whole bar, okay? Maybe even stronger than a half of Vicodin. Again, it's because of what you're looking for. Vicodin brings you somewhat down and puts a smothering effect over you. A wet sheet, let's call it. Nice, wet, warm sheet. That's what this would do. You'd have to eat this whole bottle, all 10 of these, to have this bar. Well, then you can go to a simpler way to ingest if you really want to. Each one of these gummies is 50 milligrams. Okay? So you can take 8 gummies and get 400 milligrams in your body just with a little bit of gummy bears. That would be equal, just in how they work, because you've got to try it to know it, okay, is equal to about 2/3 of a Vicodin. Well, then we get to where you can design, call it designer edibles. This is the honey I made. Because of the way I made this, I honestly don't know the milligrams, but I do know how it feels. It feels at least, if I take 2 solid teaspoons, 2 heaping tablespoons of the honey, half a Vicodin. Here's the challenge and here's the problem. And I'm being blatant about it, I apologize, but it's my opinion, senior stoner's opinion, how the pills dosages compare to the pot dosages. My opinion, based on how they affect me. But it's not pain relief when it's pot. I'll say it again. It's not pain relief when it's pot. It's that wet, warm blanket. Pain relief is not a wet, warm blanket. It's a situational, very specific physical warm blanket, let's call it, that coats the areas that are problems for you. When you get up to these drugs, it is more than a blanket. It's like a weighted blanket on you. You don't want to take these drugs. Okay? You might have to, but you don't want to. If you can, Percocet and Vicodin are where you want to go at the most for the average person. These are extremely strong drugs. These can be somewhat compared in the marijuana world. They're not pain-relieving marijuana plants. They don't exist. It says it, but it doesn't do what medicine does, okay? But the medicine has consequences that this stuff doesn't have. You understand what I'm saying? Then we get to our diamonds. Our diamonds, which are some of the strongest THC-related smokables we have in the market. You can use a dab rig for your diamonds. Then you get into pure THCA distillate. THC distillate, 99% pure. Nothing else. My point is you can get the strongest things out there to smoke and everything like that. Guess what? it's going to give you a rush that's going to feel like, oh, that's a Vicodin. It's not. Not. I can't compare smokable marijuana to the opiates. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. It doesn't match up. So smokable marijuana in any form is a lot less pain coverage than the edibles on the plate, table in front of you, and the homemade edible. And then for that horrible, horrible, horrible pain that you know you can't live, you know you have to help yourself, and don't be an idiot. That's what I tell myself. You take the white pill. You use the horrible medicine if you have to, and God forbid there's a real problem. There's medicine on the market that can make you feel okay. So, hopefully this helped everybody. Let's take our dab. Let's shoot a little distillate into our Carta today. And by the way, for you Carta fans out there, I'll be unboxing a brand new, very special Carta next week. I got shipping notification of it. Here we go. Now remember something, when I talk about all this stuff, I'm no doctor. This is seniors' life experiences that lead me to this understanding and what I want to talk about. Let's use the aura now. The aura has already got material inside of it. Here we go. We're going to go on blue. Blue. Huh. Going to go on blue. And look, I sincerely hope none of you have to take this medicine. I know many of you probably take this medicine, the Percocet or Vicodin. But if you can weave less of that, more of this, not a replacement, but a substitution, let's call it. Got a little hit. I've got to charge it. I think my discussion today was more important than my dab today. So hopefully it was helpful to all of you. Listen, this is not to say stop taking your medicine. This is to say watch out for big medical big brother and what they can do to you, and have alternatives for yourself. That's all I'm saying. This is the Real Senior Stoner. Cheers, everybody.